Coarse angling is a popular and relaxing recreational fishing style. It's practiced on lakes, canals and slow-moving rivers where the fish being targeted are not trout or salmon. These are referred to as game fish. The remainder of freshwater fish in Ireland are coarse species. To the newcomer who has witnessed a coarse fishing competition or has visited a tackle shop, this fishing discipline can seem quite daunting due to the amount and range of equipment which is available. This video is to help newcomers make their first steps into the sport and explain simple tackle setup, the basic methods used, how to target different fish species, and most importantly, how to handle your catch.
So we're going to start off today going back to basics, really simple. We're going to fish a whip. This is your whip, 4 meters in length, and I'll show you how we're going to put it together. We'll take the end cap off, turn it upside down, and just pull it out till it stops. It's a telescopic whip, so it folds up into itself. There we are. That's it at its full length, 4 meters. So now we have the whip pulled out to its full length. We're going to attach the rig. The rig consists of your float, your line, your weights and your hook. This is a pre-tied rig you can pick up in any of the tackle shops. It's 4 meters long. It has the correct shotting for the float. If I attach this to the eye on the top of the whip, we're ready for fishing in 2 minutes flat. Hook down on the bottom at the back here, and this is your float, and you can see at the top we have our weights. Everything we need is on the rig. Get the end of the line and put it through the eye at the top of our whip and spin it around, just tie an ordinary blood knot. Wet the line or the knot will break. Now we have the rig attached, we need to plumb up. Plumb up is essentially to find the depth of water we're fishing in, because we want to start off fishing close or on the bottom, because that's where most fish are going to feed. They may move up in the water later in the session, but we want to start off on the bottom. If we know how deep the swim is, we know how far off the bottom we're fishing then. So it's a very simple process, it's just trial and error. But first of all, we attach this little device, it's called the plummet. Heavy lead weight with a cork bottom. The idea is hook sits into the cork bottom, we drop it in and we adjust our depth to suit to find out how deep the water is we're fishing in. So we swing the float out, drop it in nice and gently, and as we can see, the float drops into the water and disappears. The rig is set too shallow, so now we have to move the float up. So we test again, we swing the rig back out again, and repeat the process until we're happy that the float is set at the correct depth, meaning we can just see the tip of the float as the plummet rests on the bottom. Now we take the plummet off and the hook is ready to take the bait. So hook's baited, we flick out, see can we catch a fish. Every now and again when you catch a fish, you find that it's not caught on the lip, it's caught further down his throat. so you have to use a disgorger to remove the hook. Very simple operation, something every angler should carry with them. So now we're going to set up our Waggler rod. We're going to kick the middle section, attach it to the tip section, and then attach the butt section to the middle section, ensuring that all the eyes are in a straight line. Now we're going to attach the reel. We put the reel into the reel seat and tighten it up. Don't over tighten, we just want it so when it comes to packing up, we can take the reel off. We open the bail arm and unwind the line. And we run the line through each eye on the rod, not missing any of them. To miss an eye will impede your cast. Take our time, walk down the rod, ensuring we get every eye. Once we go through the top eye, we bring the line back down to the reel again, give it a pull and check that we haven't missed an eye. Now we're going to attach the float, in this instance a Waggler float. So we attach it using a swivel and a snap link. Now once we have the float on the line, it'll move up and down the line unless we use a few small stopper shot to fix the float on the line. We use a small shot either side so the float cannot move. Put the float in the water to check how much shot we have to use to get the float to sit correctly. Once we have all the shot in place, we can attach our hook length. In this case we've used a pre-tied hook length. It has the right line diameter and the right size of hook for what we want to do. Now we have the hook length attached, we can spread our shot out. We have the bulk of our shot round the float, and then in this case we have 3 small dropper shot spread out down the line so the bait falls nice and slowly through the water. Now we're ready to give it a cast. Cast out to our required distance, check to make sure the float is sitting properly, and that's us ready to go. We'll maybe give this another go come the autumn. Some of you may have noticed my clothing has changed, and if you look at the background here you can see the season has changed. We're now into the autumn. We're coming close to winter time. So the one great thing about coarse fishing, there's no season. You can fish 12 months of the year. However, if you do decide to go coarse fishing, make sure you have a decent set of waterproofs, or at least windproofs, because you're going to get the weather, especially here in Fermanagh, where it tends to be a little bit damp. Baits don't really change summer or winter. The thing is, the way you present the bait has to change with the seasons. Generally speaking, we use pinkies, casters and maggots, along with some ground bait. Wintertime, we tend to darken the ground bait down more. We use lighter lines smaller hooks and dot our float down very, very low in the water. The float here today is probably sitting about 5 mil above the surface of the water. Reason being, fish aren't just as active in the winter time as they are in the summertime. They tend to be a little more standoffish, and you're trying your best to entice them with smaller hooks, lighter lines and dotted down floats. Unlike game angling, where the angler 9 times out of 10 targets the fish and follows the fish, with coarse angling, you're trying to bring the fish to you. Therefore, the introduction of ground bait into your swim is a must. However, once the ground bait's in, your job isn't finished. You gotta keep topping up and keep bait going through your swim in order to keep the fish that you have attracted still active in your swim, so ultimately you can catch them. Years ago, the only ground bait was available to anybody going coarse fishing was brown or white crumb. Now when you go into the tackle shop, there's a vast array of bags full of different additives, different mixtures. One thing about them, the job they do is on the front of the bag. They've been blended and researched scientifically to ensure that they help you to catch the targeted species you're after. Therefore, instead of buying brown crumb and adding all your ingredients yourself, why not pick a bag of ready mixed up off the tackle shop shelf and give it a go? No matter what ground bait you pick, the 2 most important factors are the colour and the consistency. Make sure it's dark and you have it mixed well to the consistency you need for the venue that you're targeting. To the beginner of coarse angling, it can be very daunting with the vast array of tackle and baits available. This is where a good tackle shop comes in. When you go to a good tackle shop, they're full of good advice, good information, and they can tailor the tackle and the baits that you need to the species that you're targeting. A good tackle shop is the place to start. Right, so we're going to go briefly through the setup of our feeder rod, okay? A little bit different than the Waggler rod insofar as it's the actual rod itself that indicates your bait. We'll see that in a moment. But what we'll go through now is the setup of the terminal tackle on the feeder rod. So it's just an 11 foot or 11 foot 6 medium feeder rod. It has the ordinary reel, so we set it up as normal. Put our rod together, put the line up through all the eyes. But this is where we differentiate at the business end, as it were. So we get our line, and the first thing we do is we thread on a snap swivel. This snap swivel, once it's on, enables us to change the feeder to a heavier feeder or a lighter feeder, a bigger feeder or a smaller feeder, depending if conditions change and we want to change what way we present the bait on the bottom of the lake. So first go off, we thread the snap swivel onto our main line, like so. Now it's on our main line. What we now need to do is fix this in a loop on the main line so it won't move and fall off. It's very simple. So we come up about 40 centimeters, grab our snap swivel, double our line over, make a loop and pass the swivel through the loop 3 or 4 times. What we do now is we have to wet this knot. If we don't wet the knot, we're going to create friction. Friction will weaken the line because it generates heat. So the easiest way to wet the line is just lick it and pull the ends of the line tight. And what we now have is a loop with our swivel fixed in the loop. And our snap link swivel, we just attach our feeder. Here's a small window feeder. It's now attached. Doesn't move. This end of the line, we'll tie a small loop on it, and we use that loop to attach our chosen hook length. It means we can change our hook. If we're getting no bites, we can change down to a smaller hook. If we're getting plenty of bites and we want to change up to a bigger hook, so we can swap over by just simply detaching the hook length from the loop on this line and putting on a new one. Likewise with our feeder, because it's on the snap link swivel, we can take this feeder off, and at the start of the session, if we want to get in plenty of bait quickly, we can put on a bigger feeder. And then this big feeder enables us to get lots of bait in quickly. And then as we start to fish over the top, we can use a smaller feeder, which will introduce smaller bits of bait. Well, that's the feeder rod set up. We're good to go, but maybe we might leave it till a little bit later in the year till the weather warms up a little bit. Now the weather's warmed up a bit, we're going to give this feeder fishing a go. We've already baited up using the bigger feeder. We've swapped over to the smaller feeder for our first cast to see if there's any fish about. And there we go. First bite of the day. Feels like a decent fish. The most important thing with any type of feeder fishing, pick your spot and cast to the one spot all the time. You're trying to build up a bed of feed in the one spot. There we have him. One of these elusive iron bream. On a day like today, when the sun is shining and it's very warm, we don't want the fish out of the water too long. We don't want to overstress them. We get them into the keep net as quickly as possible. Now we have the keep net properly stretched out to give the fish plenty of room to swim while we're waiting to take our catch shot. We flick the rod up in order to sink the line so the line sinks to the bottom out of the road of any passing boat traffic. Here we go again. Maybe these iron bream aren't that elusive. Another fine specimen. And another. And a little hybrid come into play as well. Who says you can't catch bream on a sunny day? A better looking hybrid. Nicely lip hooked. Get him in the net quick. Another little hybrid making an appearance. Again, the disgorger comes into use. Fish welfare must be the top of our agenda all the time. It's nice to get a photograph, but it's nice to get the fish back in again to the water as soon as possible to keep the stress levels down. The days of lining your fish up on the bank to get a trophy shot are long gone. Get your fish back into the water, and maybe when we come back another day, the fish will be there for us to catch again.